Hi, family and friends. Today we are here in River Walk and we're going to be on the boat, okay? Cho mình bây giờ nó ở nhân the River Walk ở giờ tua mù chanh con mà ở chanh basket ở cho nên mù chỉ ta chỉ nữ xí xía chỉ bỏ hậu bỏ sổ ta chỉ nó ở cho nên mù chanh con thì hậu đây nó nên thôi ở mù sái trong câu cơ này nữa có phải thì mù chanh con sát tư nên là mà giống cục cột là chế chúng cơ nhá nó chế tất cả nhau luôn đấy nó nó chỉ có chỉ báo hay để mình xé sau nhau là phải thứ nó về là không được sổ nó bỏ cho nên nó phải thứ đâu nó sát tư đấy. They're cleaning over here. Anh chị có số nói cứ một sải xe để cho nó là công tại sao để cho ba về lần để nó là cho ba chỉ về lần thì họ sợ nó là chỉ thật đắt đi nữa cho nên để cho tổng tua này để tổng tua sải nữa cho nên chúng tôi chỉ biết tao sải tại video nó slow thì ước tận nó được bán là nó về cái nó là sải xe họ chơi nó khỏi ư tuần nó mò để nó hậu tụi đây nó nữa lời giọt khinh hiện đây nó còn sao cái nâng ta vậy là mà cái mình chỉ giá ly vậy là mà đi khi họ trong rồi sợ đời tôi mùa chanh con nữa sắp phải nó là khinh ta là con cơ liền này sẽ cho ta la bơ luôn nhau nữa nó số nó bỏ lưới tôi chế để cho lá hạn chế thống lời tên nó nữa ta xin nó chơi ít cho mưa say cho chơi cây con cho nó giống nó đó bây giờ làm cây con đây nó nằm luôn là cây con đâu đây nó đi xì nhá nó clean nhá còn nó là tên đấy trong đây nó đi xì nó lấy qua lấy gắn qua được clean tên nó không cầu liều thay này sai trong cầu tiền liều. Morning, beautiful flowers. Trời tuần tuần đây nó nữa trong cầu cha liều. Đây nó giống cầu một chơi muôn chơi lia muôn tông cái gì qua trời từ đây nào nữa cái cho tông nó mình đã là tree nhá để nó đi siêu là the river run no river walk no để nó là lúc bà đêm này nó là lúc chanh con do hôm nay thay chị bỏ trống cậu đi nói thì nó mình sẽ phải chơi ở trong mình đi coi nhá sắp đến แต่สินะเจลอนเทียต่อขัดเชยอยู่หมู่แจ้งก็เลยเจไปอยู่หมู่แจ้งก็ตอนนี้ใช้đại đúa nó chê của yo múa trò đôi trò tranh con còn có mùng ca hậu là cho kỳ tụ đê ở river one này giờ cho nên sai xin nó nên cho ứ sai mùa lò dễ thế giống câu cưng cầu lên nó cho con như
There are still a whole lot of little critters that live here that don't realize that this is man-made. We have tilapia, perch, catfish, sunfish, crawfish, a whole lot of snakes in here. We've got turtles too. Turtles are nice. So they built this waterfall that's coming up on the right. And for some reason the waterfall's not been switched on today. Just imagine water cascading off those rocks. The waterfall's there to keep the water flowing, keep it filtered and aerated, keep all those little critters alive and well. Today is not doing any of those things. And just to the right here, over the wall through the clearing, you'll see a tower. It looks like the Jetsons' house up there. That's the Tower of the Americas. That was a centerpiece of the hemisphere of 1968. That's also the second tallest freestanding tower in the United States. And that's second only to the stratosphere in Las Vegas. We're actually 16 feet taller than the Space Needle in Seattle. The stratosphere is 1,000 feet tall. Ours is 750 feet. Stratosphere has some sort of ride or roller coaster, bungee jump or something on there. We have a restaurant on ours that spins once every hour. Not quite as fast as a roller coaster. You got a pretty good view of the tower over here to the right. That section over there to the right, blocked off to us there. That stop sign on the right, because we can't go back there. That takes you to the
that one they haven't opened yet.
Has everyone had a chance to get to the shops at River Center? If you haven't, I don't want to ruin the surprise for you, but it's a mall. It's a lot like every other mall you've ever been to, but it sits on the banks of a river. That makes it kind of special. We're headed to the River Center Mall Lagoon right now. You can check it out for yourself. Our mall has 125 stores. There's a food court, an IMAX theater, a comedy club. There's also a purple store if you like purple stuff. That's all they sell. Apparently there's demand for purple things that I'm unaware of. It's very popular. They've also just now, it's one of the last remaining Mayan teen theaters left in the United States. We're about to go under Salinas Bridge, named after late singer Selena Quintanilla. She was photographed on this bridge, as well as Jennifer Lopez. Played her in the movie Selena. Also partially filmed right up here. The beige building over here on the right, that's the Volcara Hotel now. It used to be the home of the L. Frank Cavalry from 1901 to 1923. They outfitted Teddy Roosevelt and Rough Riders, as well as Mexican revolutionary Francisco Pancho Villa. All right, before World War I, they provided boots, saddles, and harnesses to the United States Army. And on the left is La Mansión del Rio, or Mansion on the River. It used to be the site of the St. Mary's School for Boys back in 1853. Then it was the St. Mary's Academy and the St. Mary's Law School. In 1966, two former students from the law school purchased the building. They remodeled it, opened it up for Hemisphere in 1968. It still has some of the original artifacts from the boys' school in the lobby and in the lounge. Now we're going to head under the Navarro Street Bridge. And when we come out from under this bridge, I'm going to show you a really cool optical illusion. When you come out from under the bridge, everyone take a look up and to the left, where once stood a 26-story, three-dimensional building, will been replaced by a 26-story, two-dimensional wall. Looks like it might fall right down on top of you. Take a look up and to the left here. Nick's Hospital right there is built in 1930. It's one of the country's first full-service, fully air-conditioned hospitals. Had everything from ambulance service to daycare. It had indoor parking. Carol Burnett was born in that hospital, as well as Oliver North and Michael Nesmith from the Monkees. This part of the river here is known as South Bank. This is where you're going to find a lot of the nightlife on the river walking. It's relatively quiet now. Give it another 8 or 9 hours, people will be lined up on the sides of the river screaming at every boat that goes by. Throwing things on the boat drive. I don't recommend that.
Yeah, be walking here, remember?
It usually is, but it's usually poured on me. They give it to me in a cup, that'd be fine.
Maybe eat over there.
Right in front of us is the Hyatt Regency. That was built in 1981.
Yeah.
Now the Alamo is just on the other side of the Hyatt. If you're interested in going, this is a great way to get there. Come around the bend, take a look to the left. You'll see these glass doors with the headers that read Paseo del Alamo. That's the passageway to the Alamo. It's the quickest way to get there from the river level. It's a beautiful walk. The river goes through the building. You go through those doors, you walk through a series of waterfalls and gardens. When you get to the top, it puts you right across the street from the front of the Alamo. Now, an interesting side note, when the Hyatt Regency was being designed, it had to meet strict height requirements. It wasn't allowed to cast a shadow on the Alamo at sunset. This building coming up on the right, this is the Casino Club building. It was opened in 1927. It used to be a German social club. That later became apartments. There was a famous author that lived there by the name of Alex Haley. He wrote a lot of books that became movies. Probably most notably was Roots. He lived there. Also actor Tommy Lee Jones lived in that building for just a little while.
And I take a picture here. You see, we coming here.
Now we're getting into my favorite part of the Riverwalk. This is River Square. This is where you're going to find the majority of the restaurants, all the tantalizing aromas.
And we have a dinner's right, that one.
Now normally we offer a dining boat service. We can go to any one of these restaurants, set that up. You can get a breakfast boat, lunch, dinner. If you just want cocktails, you can get a cocktail cruise. Yeah, it's gradually making a comeback. It was on hold for a while. It's a nice way to enjoy the Riverwalk.
So now it's a lot of people eating.
Now the Riverwalk first opened in 1941. It didn't look a whole lot like this. It was more of a city park. Nice to take the family out, have a picnic. But the father and designer of the Riverwalk, Robert H.H. Hugman, he had a different vision for his design. So he put his office here in the building on the right. That's the Clifford Building. Hugman's name is written above the first floor. And he put his office there to prove to everyone that a business could thrive on the Riverwalk, that he wasn't afraid of flooding. And people thought he was crazy at first. It took a few years before other businesses started to follow suit.
Look at the table. So they're going to eat here.
This restaurant over here on the right is Casa Rio, first restaurant on the Riverwalk. They opened the doors in 1946. They were the first ones to do the riverboat tours, as well as the dining boats. And they also just celebrated their 75th anniversary. So this part of the river that we've been on, this is all the natural flow of the river. It's a natural horseshoe bend. And the river flows to the left. We're going to head to the right into a man-made part. We're entering into the flood channel. We're leaving through floodgate 4. Now when it rains really hard, floodgate 4 will rise up out of the water like a drawbridge. Keeps the water at the exact same level in the horseshoe bend at all times. There's never any flooding back there. The hotels, the mall, the restaurants, they're all completely safe from flooding. Now it doesn't rain very often in San Antonio, but when it does, it can rain really hard, really fast. Flooding used to be a huge problem for downtown. In 1921, we had a flood that caused a lot of deaths, did a lot of property damage, so the Army Corps of Engineers came in here, built this flood channel for us. That put an end to all our downtown flooding problems. And there were a lot of prominent businessmen that wanted to fill in and pave over that other part of the river we were just on, make room for more buildings and streets. But lucky for us, two women had the foresight to put a stop to that. It was Emily Edwards and Raina Maverick Green. They formed the San Antonio Conservation Society in 1924. And a few years after that, there was a graduate from the University of Texas by the name of Robert H.H. Hugman. And he designed the entire Riverwalk at the age of 27. Presented his plans to the city. The city approved it in 1929. Still wasn't completed until 41 after the Works Project Administration took over, but Hugman is still known as the father of the Riverwalk. He designed every walkway, staircase, every planter, lamppost, bench. Everything you see in the horseshoe bend is pretty much Hugman's design. Now, he didn't design this walkway over here on the right. That's fairly new. It's been there about 14 years. That was a gift from the Drury Plaza Hotel. It's an 850-foot walkway that connects floodgates 3 and 4. Now you can walk all the way around the horseshoe. Over here to the left, through the trees, kind of hard to see anything back there, but it's main plaza, established in 1731 by Spanish settlers from the Canary Islands. They used to be the heart of the city. There's also San Fernando Cathedral back there, built in 1739. Still houses some of the remains of the heroes from the Battle of the Alamo. If you find yourself in the San Antonio River today, please don't panic. Just stand up. Walk right out. It's only about 3 to 4 feet deep. Should be all right. So we're going to start off the tour here. Just after this bridge is an area known as Abito, or Little Village. And this area was settled by the Spanish soldiers and their families back in the 1700s. If you go up this street level here, there are nice little art galleries and boutiques. Good places to shop up there. We have two restaurants coming up on the left. Both of those used to be German homes back in the 1850s. They were the homes of the Dashiell and Mambach families. We're getting into the Arneson Theater. It's an open-air theater. It seats 800 people. It's named after Edwin P. Arneson. He was the chief engineer of the Works Project Administration that completed the Riverwalk back in 1941. So we head through the theater. Take a look to the right at the stage. You might recognize it from Miss Congeniality. We had Sandra Bullock up there dancing around in a bathing suit. Also 5 bronze bells right above the stage. Each one of them represents one of the 5 Spanish missions in San Antonio. Now we're heading under Rosita's Bridge. Rosita Fernandez played on that stage for 26 years in the show Fiesta Noche del Rio, which is still in production today. They should have finished season number 64 a couple of August ago, but the whole season was postponed. They finally came back again this June. They played through the summer. They'll be back again next May for season number 65. Over here to the right, is the Briscoe Western Art Museum that just recently opened. A lot of different artwork showing the history of the West, as well as an interactive diorama, the Battle of the Alamo. Punjabi saddle and Santa Anna's sword are on display in there. I'm sure you've noticed a lot of the trees have lights hanging from them. Just so you know, it takes them 3 months to put those up. They leave them up through the holidays. It takes another 3 months to take them down. Why they just don't leave them up all year, I'm not sure. I think that'd be a lot easier. They do look nice when they come on. They'll be completely on tonight by 6 o'clock. That's when the lines will grow exponentially. So if you're planning on riding tonight, get your tickets early. Last weekend we had 3-hour waits, so as soon as 6 o'clock happens, it just explodes. Now we're going to head under the Preston Street Bridge coming up. This is a solid iron bridge built in the 1890s. It's called an iron ornamental bridge. There are 10 of these left in the United States, 5 around the San Antonio River. This one sits pretty low, so we're going to try and steer right to the middle of it. You might think you're going to hit your head on it, but trust me, if you don't stand up, you'll be fine. I, on the other hand, may not fare as well. We'll go right through the middle here. And up ahead on the right, you'll see a small island with an iron sculpture on it. The sculpture is known as Father Massenet's Table. That was a gift from artist Rolando Briceño in 1991. Put there to commemorate the first Catholic Mass that took place in San Antonio on June 13, 1691. That's also a heart-shaped island. It's known as Marriage Island. We have over 300 weddings that take place there every year. We had 4 last Saturday, 2 on Sunday. On the other side of the bridge, we have Divorce Island. Busy island. Now, this part of the river is actually known as Old Mill Crossing. Back in the 1800s, Nat Lewis had his mill on the right bank. He would grind grain for the settlers. And this was also a very shallow part of the river. Settlers could cross the water their horses. Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders used to train right in this area. On the right, we have the Weston Hotel. It was built in 1999. It's a really new addition to the Riverwalk. Surrounded by all these older buildings. So just past the Weston there on the right, there's a darker red brick building. That used to be the San Antonio Drug Company from 1919 to 1963. Now it's the Homewood Suites. It got remodeled in 95. Here on the left is the Tower Life building. This one lights up the San Antonio skyline. It's built in 1927 and 1928. It used to be called the Smith-Young Tower. If you look all the way up to the top of the tower, you'll see these concrete structures jutting out of each of the 8 corners. Those are known as gargoyles. They serve as a rain drainage system, so when it rains, the water comes out of the gargoyle's mouth into the gutters below. And if you look just above the trees over here to the left, you'll see these angry little scary faces kind of snarling down at you. Those are known as grotesques. Now, the whole building is an example of neo-Gothic architecture. The original owners, Smith and Young, were fairly superstitious. They put all these things in place to ward off evil spirits and bad business. Unfortunately, 1 year after the building opened, the stock market crashed in 1929. It cost them over $3 million to build it. They had to sell it for less than $30,000. Doesn't say much for gargoyles. I'll show you a neat little effect that when we come out from under this bridge, take a look back at the Tower Life building, and you'll notice that it's transformed into a ship. Looks like it's coming onto the river right behind us. You got to use your imagination very fast. It actually starts just about 6 miles north of here on the campus of Incarnate Word University. It comes up through springs from an underground lake known as the Edwards Aquifer, goes through the zoo, through downtown, goes about 230 miles southeast of here, where it meets up with the Guadalupe River, flows out to the Gulf of Mexico. You see that big tree right in front of us? It's the oldest and largest cypress tree in San Antonio. It's over 350 years old, over 9 stories tall, also known as the sniper tree. Back in 1835, there was a Texas patriot by the name of Ben Milam. He was staying at the Veramente Palace, which was right behind us, and he was shot by a sniper from that tree right there. And now we're going under floodgate 3. This one comes down like a guillotine. Don't worry, they don't start the random testing until afternoon. It takes about 15 minutes for that to come down completely. It does weigh 3 tons. It is up to the right here. It'll be through the trees up at Street W. You'll get a good view here in a second. You'll see the top of a church steeple. That's St. Joseph's Catholic Church up there. It was built in 1868. And it was built by German settlers. Now back in the 1800s, this whole area was hugely populated by Germans. They wanted to have a church where they could have mass in their own language. So they built themselves a church. Now to this day, every last Sunday of the month, they do all the services completely in German. They have a choir that comes in by the name of Liederkranz. They sing all the hymns in German as well. I believe that's going to be next Sunday. So if you're still in town and you're yearning for a German sermon, check it out. And out to the left here, after this big tree, you'll see the Hilton Palacio del Rio, or Palace on the River. I'll give you a little bit of history behind that hotel up there. So 1968, we had the World's Fair, Hemisphere thing going on. 7 million people coming to town for it. We didn't have a whole lot of places to put them. That hotel was booked solid 14 months before Hemisphere. All 500 rooms were completely booked. Now the big problem with that is there was no hotel there. It was just an empty space. So they needed to get a hotel built very quickly. What they did is they called on a graduate from Texas A&M University by the name of H.B. Zachary. And how he did it, it's about 8 miles south of here. He constructed every room, completely the carpet on the floors, pictures on the walls, soaps in the dishes, towels on the racks, Bibles in the drawers. The beds were made. He loaded those rooms on flatbed trucks, drove them into town, hoisted them up by crane, and stacked them one on top of another like Lego blocks. We're about to come in front of the building here. It's going to be on the left. When we do take a look past the first 4 floors, you'll see that every room after that is identical in dimension. This building is also in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest constructed modular building of its size. They completed the entire project in just 202 working days, and they took weekends off. So it was about 9 months' time. When they finished, it was just 3 days before Hemisphere. So really, museum reached up on May 30th of 2009. Now, normally you could get there by boat. You could take one of our Rio shuttles. Unfortunately, the Rio shuttles are not running, but if they were, they'd pick you up. They'd take you through a lock. You'd raise 9 feet and out to the Pearl Brewery, which is now the Hotel Emma. A lot of different shops and restaurants up there. Normally, they do a farmer's market on the weekends. I think that's up and running again. There's also the San Antonio Museum of Art and the VFW. Post 76, the oldest VFW post in Texas, is right there on the river and open to the public. So check out the museum reach if you get a chance. And just to the left here, over the mall, is the Marriott River Center. That was built in 1988 when the rest of the mall was built. The only reason I pointed out before it was there was another hotel there. It was the Fairmount Hotel, built in 1905.
They're waiting in the restaurant over here. Many birds here. And then, yeah, I know. And the squirrel. They have all kind of animals here in the restaurant here. They chia nó ra lỡ đây là nhỏ nọ trong cái nhỏ nọ tỏi cho nên nó mọi phóng nó chỉ lỡ lọ to đi nè đây nó nè lấy chuột chay nó chứ nếu còn to xíu là cũng thôi đó mọi gì nó không nhà đây là nó lo lấy chia tay đi lấy chia tay đi cả liền mình nó lớn to nhá nên nói với chị nó lúc tết thời thế xã nó làm màu nó mà tự chấp lời đi nữa muốn nào muốn nông như là nhó hậu tên lán nó như nó có lời đi chờ đi họ nhó có tao nói ít là nhớ tôi chắc rằng là nó sắp lời đi nữa. thì hậu chợ hậu hậu đây hậu chợ sẽ nữa lúc nói như lúc mò nó lo tại sao nữa chúng câu cái này là tiền thợ tròn tôi chỉ là cho tăng cái chi này chứ mà nó mò chỉ họ chỉ nhỏ nó chỉ sai là chỉ nó chỉ cũng lo cái bao hậu chợ đây nó vậy lo cái bao nó là cho nó giống câu cái mọi ứ xỉa đại ứ chỉ tranh con thầu trốn tu theo muôn cho nên tăng này so and so when they gonna start it
Well, it said 9, but I don't see it.
we should go see the place that they have peoples tên nó mà trong câu tiền liệu là tao là hoa river brown nó không có thể tiền nữa bây giờ lắm câu rồi nói chơi nó mỏ thì chơi hồng bìa hậu đê hậu chợ có xin lúc chơi nó nè hậu đê hậu chợ thì hậu lò rèn con gầu xin
để cho chơi nó chị tứ chay có bà ta bé tứ cho lò chi ta nó rồi đi sai lời tới sự họ nói do khỏi tận có lò tự nói thay để cho chơi nó rèn nó ấy có nên bỏ thế lựa chọn nên mù lò nên họ tao muốn chi nó tôi chọn dẫn gió trong tự nói nữ chỉ tao muốn nâng chỉ muốn nâng tao kể cho đã chỉ thiên shopping để nó là tao khí nè dọc với cho mong suy chị còn mong là mặc khí ta lai thế chị giờ mù rồi được khỏi chơi thế chị tôi chạy dọn dòi chỉ muốn nâng trong xin nữa
bây giờ thì nó là khổ khổ nếu họ chơi con nữa nó biểu đi nó gạo liền chị dọn đi nó là khổ đây nó mà trong câu cái bị rồi qua bài là có tỏ lử lúc họ chơi nó thì lúc nó họ chơi nó là họ chỉ còn có lọt dề là như là chỉ cứ bài lử khó gọi chọn con họ lọt dề nó chỉ mà đi bài lử khó nữa xong câu tí tí điều mà nhiều thấp lợi liệu thầm chơi nó này chọn tí đỉnh nó là chúng câu They have banana tree over here by the river. I should